Well, welcome to another episode of Dad's Old Car. In America, there are graveyards full of dead cars, and they're easy enough to buy. And when you get it back to New Zealand, you've got yourself a project. One of these projects turned up at the Kumu car show, and the man who's built this from the ground up is a man called Kris. Really interesting man. So let's have a chat to Kris. We're at the Kumu Car and Hot Rod Show, and with me is Kris. And Kris, you've got a beautiful
1960 Dodge Polara.
That sounds impressive.
Yes.
Now tell me, the car, our show's called Dad's Old Car. What do you remember about the family car when you were young?
Well, I never had a father, so my mother, she had a Escort station wagon.
Really?
They're pretty rare now. She had a Mini. Then it started moving into Japanese stuff like Mitsubishi Courtiers and things like that. But my first uncle, he was a bit of a character, and he used to build his own cars from the ground up, modelled off Ferraris.
Wow.
And they were called the GT Goodwins.
I haven't heard of those.
There's quite a few people researching them. He just died last year, and he used to use Porsche chassis and make fiberglass bodies, leather interiors.
Wow.
Porsche or VW engines. So he was into his cars. Then my first car I got was at 18 and Caddy was an EH Holden. Very classic New Zealand car. And that was the first car I restored. Gunmetal grey, black interior, rebuilt the 6-cylinder in it. With 20 SU carbs, extractors, 4-speed, and then from there on it got more interesting. I bought a 64 Chev that was Barry Crump's old Chev.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow, that's special.
And someone had taken the dash out of that and recarved it out of one piece of wood, and the whole dash was made out of one piece of wood, exactly as the 64 Chev's was. It was a 396 big block, turbo 400, powerful beast. Everyone in Albany knew it, and used to go to the Albany Tavern every Sunday to the bands, and was painted Cadbury blue.
Wow.
And then I sold that to and bought the Dodge Polara from the States, from Phoenix, Arizona. I was 24 when I bought it, and 26 years ago, and I'm an engineer, and I restored it from ground up.
So right down to chassis rails?
Right down every nut and bolt myself.
Wow.
Rebuilt the trans, the brakes, the engine.
So tell me what it was like when, how did you come by it?
Through a magazine called the Hemmings magazine, which is a classic car magazine. That used to come to, I used to order it every month at the bookshop, you know, and the pages were like the Bible, made of rice paper, really thin, loads of cars all through it. And those days there was no email system, so you had to fax them and ring them and pursue them.
Yes.
And they would be talking like, God dang it, it's been raining up here dang hard, I don't know right now, and like this, and I'll get right back to you. And it'd be like this, and so I'd fax back and forth, and eventually I got it all sorted, and I got it shipped to New Zealand. One of my best mates was working on the wharf down the waterfront, and he devanned it. That's taking it out of the container when it arrived. I got a good deal on that. He rang me up at work and he said, Kris, what have you done? This is the worst car I've ever seen. And my heart just sank. It had snakeskins in it, the doors were tied up with ropes, it hadn't gone since 1972. Yeah, it was just needed total full restoration. But it's one of the rarest cars in the world, and one of a few in the southern hemisphere.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's really impressive. I think we should go and have a look at this car now, folks. As Kris has just said, it's just turned up as a total wreck. And we need to see what he's done to it. So let's go and have a look. Kris, first of all, I've got to say congratulations on what you described, coming out of a container and your mate saying this is the worst heap of junk I've ever seen.
Yes.
And you turned it into this. Absolute credit to you, mate. Well done.
Thank you.
And what about the parts? I mean, were all these parts with it?
I've had to source the parts worldwide, from anywhere from private people to wreckers yards to using faxes, phones, computers. Some of the car parts I've had to hand make and replicate.
Wow.
And I've borrowed parts from people in the States so that I've made them matching numbers perfect, correct.
Yes.
Everything's absolutely correct, original on the car. The interior cloth was the last piece of red cloth. That's the original 1960 Dodge Polara cloth that you see in the car, that I got off a fabric supplier in America. That's top of the line that you could get. This is the top of the line model Dodge that came out in 1960. So it's taken years and years of hard work, but I'm lucky I'm an engineer.
Yeah, absolutely you are, yeah. Because we've spoken to lots and lots of people throughout our truck shows, bulldozer shows, and they've got this old thing.
Yes.
And the parts, we can't find them nowhere in the world. So some old guy, I can make that.
Yes. Yeah.
And 3 days later, there it is.
Yes.
Gears, the right gear for, there was a gear missing, here's the gear.
Yes.
Oh, unbelievable.
So I'm that guy, but younger.
That's just absolutely. Can we have a look at the engine?
Yeah, sure. So this is the highest performance engine of the 1960 Dodge. It's a cross-ram induction 383. It's got two 4-barrels, high performance heads, a torque flight 3-speed transmission, and it's got a lot of torque and power, and it can get up and go for a big car. Yeah. I've restored every nut and bolt of that myself. Wow. There was a lot of parts missing.
So this was with it?
Yes. I had to find some of these parts you see here.
Yep.
Wasn't all complete here, but these are called the cross rams.
Yes.
And they work by induction, and they create a sonic wave which supercharges the air.
Wow.
And it's actually called a natural supercharger with no moving or wearing parts. State of the art.
Absolutely.
In the time.
Yeah.
Yes.
This is absolutely amazing.
Yes.
Imagine what the British were turning out at the same time,
Yeah.
a little...
Yes. Little small cars.
Yeah. Let's have a look at the dash and the interior.
Yeah, this is well, the States was very orientated around space travel.
Looking at your dashboard, and there's lots of buttons. There's a button that says D21RN. I guess that's push button.
Yes, that's called the push button auto. So that's first, second, drive, neutral, and reverse. So that's how you change gears.
And the push buttons on the other side.
And that's for your heater. So you've got air, defrost, high fan, low fan, and all that. And then all your lights and radio, interior light.
This looks like a compass.
And that's a really rare option. That's a clock, and it's extremely rare, and the little hand goes round and round in it.
I just sort of jumped in, yeah.
Yeah, it's I think the fuse might be blown at the moment.
Right.
It's got a little, and it's got the see-through speedo.
So I can see through it. So it means that the light's coming from the other side all the time.
And at night time it all lights up that fluorescent green.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that they liked back in the day.
Yeah. And there's got a pedal here on the left. Is that a push handbrake?
Yeah, that's a park brake. Yep.
Yeah.
Yes.
And you were telling me before.
And this steering wheel is extremely rare. This This one I found was a high option, the clear steering wheel with gold flake, and this was, I found it in Australia, an old guy had it, and it was brand new, so it was 60 years old, new old stock.
Wow.
Yeah, so I was lucky enough to get that for this
And
car.
that was part of the car when they
I searched and
Oh, right.
yeah, I actually made some parts for him and swapped the parts for that he needed for the steering wheel.
Wow. You were telling me before about the swivel seats. I see the passenger ones. Yes. Let's have a look at that. God.
So you want me to show you?
Just when you're ready. Okay.
Yes. So this is the swivel seat that allows you to get out in and out easily.
You just push it back into place and you're out.
And normally it's automated, but I've got them disconnected at the moment because I'm just fixing one cable.
Wow.
So I need one good one to duplicate it.
Yeah.
But that's another option. And that was the highest class interior at the time available. And as I said, that material was the correct material from 1960, the last piece that they had of this cloth.
Wow.
And that's Polara only, Dodge Polara only.
So does the back window,
Yes.
does that sort of wind in? I see you've got a window winder there.
Yep. So that comes up
Oh, I see. Right.
and then it moves forward.
And that one locks into it and it's all waterproof.
Yeah. Totally.
Ta-da! Yep, it's got a little piece on the other side.
There's your weather strip up there.
Can we have a look at the boot?
Yeah.
Kris, is there anything special about that fin? I mean, I don't think I've seen a fin. A lot of cars have fins,
Yeah.
but I don't think I've seen one exactly like that. And it seems to be a bit longer.
Yeah, it is a very long fin, one of the longest fins made, and it was Matador Polara only. And that was the top of the line series for 1960. And it's special in the fact that they moved the fin forward.
Yes.
As you see, it's not at the end of where the tail light is, it's
Yes.
moved up by the front door and then stopped short. So it gives the whole car an appearance of leaning forward and moving fast.
Who designed it?
Virgil Exner,
Is he famous?
he's extremely famous. Designer for Mopar, for all the Ford look cars from I think it was 1956 to 61.
Well, and the hubcaps, you made those or they come with
No,
it?
that's the factory. They're the high luxury range hubcaps with the spinners.
Yes.
They call them spinner hubcaps with the blades on. Yeah, you can land the helicopter on it.
You probably could, yeah. This, the back is enormous.
Yes.
The bumper, that was with it, or you found one? Or?
The overriders went with it. That's an option that I've tracked down. Factory option, extremely hard to find. This is called the D500 model, which means that it's the high performance Dodge with the cross ram induction and high performance trans and everything like that.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Oh, amazing.
Yeah,
And the boot you can sleep in?
you can. You can, literally.
Have you slept in it?
I have slept in it before, believe it or not.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you want me to open it?
Oh,
Or?
well, not if you don't
There's a
want
lot
to.
of stuff in
Yeah,
there.
you don't have to.
Yeah.
No, we'll just take your word for it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So, are we allowed to go for a drive in it?
Yeah, we can do.
Just around the block?
Yeah.
Excellent news.
Yeah.
Well, folks, what we're going to do is never let a chance go by. We're going to invite Kris to take me for a ride around the block.
Yeah.
Awesome. Yep. It's a long way to you. Oops.
All good?
All good. Bloody marvellous.
There you go, Billy's a happy man. He's driven in a Dodge.
El Dodjo.
They call me Dodgy.
Next up, I talked to Kevin Lord, and Kevin is actually a relative of mine, so let's talk to Kevin. With me is Kevin Lord, and Kevin, welcome to our little show.
Thank you, Bill.
And Kevin's actually a cousin of mine on my grandmother's father's side, I think.
That's right. Yeah, your mother is my first cousin.
Yeah, how about that?
Yeah.
Now, Kevin, you're into your cars, and you're a guest here at the American Car Club, and Linda and I are members, of course, but tell me about your father's car. Do you remember what it was?
Well, the first car I remember was an Essex 1924.
Essex.
And I think he had bought it just after he came back from the war because it had good tyres on it.
Oh, okay.
Because tyres were very hard to come by, so he bought it for that. I don't think he kept it very long, and then he had Ford Ys, and we seem to have quite a selection of those. I think he kind of bred them. There seemed to be always more than one or two around.
Yeah, wow. Is that like the popular and that sort of range of...
It was came out I think 1933 and went to about 35.
Oh, okay.
Looked like a small Ford V8.
Yeah, that's all right. And how many in your family had to pile into this thing?
Me and my sister.
Oh, okay.
Four of us.
Mum and Dad, you kids in the back.
Yeah, and the dog on the back.
And the dog.
Sometimes in the old tea box set on the carrier, the dog had to sit there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Yeah. And back those days, the roads were dusty, gravel, and I think most people sort of give, if you're a farm, you know, out in the country, most people would give you a wave as you drove by.
I think so. It was a friendly way it was, and everybody waved, and they would help someone out if someone
Stuck on the side of the road.
Stuck on the side of the road, just stop and help them out. Yeah.
Back in the day, I just seem to remember everybody had a blanket, whether it was a grey army blanket or a tartan blanket, but most people across the front seat or even across the back seat had a blanket. Do you remember that?
I do. I think I remember me and my sister using the blanket to keep warm because it was just so drafty in the back of those little cars. Yeah.
So if it was drafty, it means the dust got in as well.
The dust got in, everything got in. Yeah.
Now you've got one or two cars yourself, and I just seem to remember there's a. Have you got a Zephyr?
I got a Zephyr Huge.
Oh, right.
Yeah, 1958 Zephyr Huge.
Mark II.
Mark II. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Is it done up, or are you doing it up?
No, it's fairly original condition.
Yeah.
I actually imported it from Australia about 20 years ago,
right.
So it was pretty rust-free. Yeah.
And you've got a couple of American cars.
Yes, I've got a 1930 Chev Roadster, 35 Auburn Roadster, 55 Ford Thunderbird.
Wow.
So yeah, I've got
I remember the Thunderbird because I tried to get in the bloody thing, but that wasn't going to happen. So if I'd have bought one of those, sorry, Mr. Ford, I can't actually get in this. Have you got anything bigger?
No, they're certainly a small man's car.
Yes, right. Yeah. Well, that's great. You remember what my grandmother had?
I remember she had a standard, I think it was a standard 8 or a standard 10, was it?
Standard 10, I think it was.
Standard 10, was it?
A flying standard 10. And standard, of course, went on to be Triumph, I think. Yeah. So is there any car of interest that you thoroughly enjoy? Like what was your first car yourself?
Well, my first car was a 1935 Austin 7. Which I loved it, yes, and I've still got a passion for Austin 7s, probably from that same reason. But my dad, after the Ford Wise, actually bought a Jowett Javelin.
Right.
And
yes,
my dad was a motor mechanic,
Yeah.
and he seemed to be the local expert on Jowetts at that stage.
Right, yeah.
And I think when I was around about 15, he was repairing them at home, and I actually worked with him part-time, and he had a Javelin Jupiter in the yard, and I said to Dad, why is it still there? He said, it belongs to the local doctor and it's all finished, but he's not coming back from his holiday for another week. So when my dad went out somewhere, I thought I'd love to drive this car. So I very carefully took it for a drive around the block and really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
He never found out.
Oh, this seems to be a familiar story. Good sort of sneaking the car around the block. Yeah, me included. Because when Mum got the standard, it just had a little square key. You could start it with a screwdriver. So me and my brothers off around the block. Well, I didn't get away with it. I got the hell hiding after Mum found out about it. It was fun.
Well, the old cars were a great thing in those days.
Yeah, if you had one, we didn't have one for a long time, so it was buses and trains. Yeah. Lugging all the rubbish and have you. I mean, the luggage. Yeah. Anyway, Kevin, thank you so much.
Thank you, Bill.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. So there you go, Kevin. How's that?
Thank you.
And finally, we have a look at an EH Holden. With me is Rex, and Rex, This is a fantastic Holden.
Thank you very much.
It's an EH, is it?
EH, yeah, 64.
And I remember in 1964 I was working for Hutchison's Wholesale, and the salesman got a brand new car, and it was one of these, and we all went down and we were in it and over it. Wow, this is the flashiest thing you've ever seen.
Yeah.
But back in that time, you don't really remember what the Americans were bringing in, because it was all Australian and English.
Yeah.
Morris's and the Austins and Holden and
good days.
Yeah. So tell me about this. It's practically original all the way.
Well, she was a bit of a basket case when I bought it. Had a wrong motor in it and wrong wheels and wrong colour.
Okay.
So yeah, it's been mucking around with it for about 15 years now to get it back to original. Totally original.
15 years?
Yeah.
That's a long time.
Yeah. Well, I've got another one I've been working on for 20.
Oh,
that's an old FJ.
Did you drive this at any of that time?
All the time, yeah.
Oh,
all the time.
Oh, amazing.
Yep.
It's got a 6-cylinder?
Yep, the original 179 motor in it. It had a 186 when I got it, but they don't come out with the 186, so took that out.
Yeah, the 186 was bulletproof.
Great motor,
yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
But I wanted this car to be totally original.
So and it went, yeah.
Yeah.
Can we have a look at it?
Sure.
179, folks. That was there was just something odd about that engine, and then they put the 186 in after this, in the next model, the next shape up, and it just made huge difference. And there she is, a 179
Yep.
Holden. Do they make that in Australia?
Yeah. Yep.
So she's all Aussie.
All Australian. The original three on the tree gearbox manual.
One thing I remember about having a Holden was the radiator.
Yep.
In 19 something or other, I bought a 49, the very first jail bar Holden Ute. and I had her for about a week, and suddenly she's overheating and blah blah
Yeah.
blah. So I had to haul that radiator out and get it cleaned and put it back in again.
Yeah.
But I just think that same with another Holden I had, about a 64, same problem, radiator. So I'm just wondering if I put a slightly bigger radiator in that one and it seemed to fix the problem. But do you have any problems with this?
No, I just put the antifreeze in it and it's good as gold, eh?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, excellent.
yeah.
Excellent.
You know, new water pump, new frost thermostat, and all good.
You
Yeah,
look in here and you think, I know what's wrong with it, and you fix it.
exactly. Exactly. Just so basic, eh?
Yeah,
No mucking around. You're in there, you can see what's wrong. You know, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to work out what's wrong with it.
No. Oh, well, let's have a look at the... Jump in.
Two gauges.
Oil generator and temperature or...
Yeah, temperature won't come on until the motor seized, eh? Because they never come
really?
on, eh?
Oh, okay.
They never come on.
And that's just a light. There's no little... No.
Yeah, just a light.
Yep.
But they don't seize up. They're a good engine.
And the
Original motor. Radio. Yeah, valve radio.
And it's got a choke. Oh, yeah. there's the
Yeah,
choke.
got the old choke. You know, she's not finished yet. She's still a bit of a project,
Yeah, yeah.
but she's coming along.
Awesome.
Got the original heater. I've just got to get the knob for it.
Right, right.
Yeah,
The steering wheel with the sort of
yeah,
beat arm, that was a flash steering wheel.
yeah.
That's nice.
Beautiful look, eh?
Nice little...
Yeah, lovely.
Horn there or horn?
Here.
Oh,
Yeah. Yeah, lovely steering wheel. I put one on my FJ because I just like the look of the
Oh,
motor. They're
right,
just
right,
pretty. Yeah.
awesome. Can we go for a ride?
Of course.
Excellent.
Jump in, close the door. We won't be doing these skids though. Right along, Colin.
Does that sound like a Holden or what? So how long you had it?
15 years.
15, you say you just
Yep.
finished doing it up.
Yeah, me and my daughter, she helped me build it. Took it back to Bear Steel 3 times. Because I've had a couple of different panel beaters that weren't very good, so back to Bear Steel again.
Right.
Yeah. And then I had a bit of a cancer scare a couple of years ago, so I thought, well, I better get this car done because it won't get finished when I'm dead. So got it done and survived the cancer, and now I'm enjoying it.
Good on you.
Yeah. And you can't beat a place like this, the old Kimu Swap Meet car show.
Yeah.
It's great fun.
Did you have any other Holdens in your, before this one?
Oh, I've had 14 EHs.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and all my friends were hassling me because I never finished them off, so I thought, oh, well, I better prove it to you as I can, so I've nearly done this one.
What I remember is the door. When you put your arm out the door, there's plenty to lean on.
Yeah, it's good, eh? The window goes down far enough
Yeah.
for your arm to relax there.
So this is made for people who like to put their arms out the window.
Oh, definitely. And you push the rear quarter windows out to let the breeze come on
Yeah,
in.
that's the one. Yep.
Yeah, great car. It's a shame they weren't made in New Zealand, but never mind.